I have to remind myself constantly, and they say a lot in AA, that one day at a time. And I've expanded on that a little bit to be more like, depending on where I'm at, if I'm feeling like I'm a 5 or a 4 or 3, 2 or 1, which even recently I felt like maybe I was at a 2, that maybe I take it one breath at a time, 1 hour at a time, one step at a time. But the whole point of that is that the goal is to make it to the end of the day. Like, all I have to focus on is making it to the end of the day, because I will arrive, and barring some freak accident, I will make it to the end of the day, and I will make it to tomorrow, hopefully. But I don't have to focus too far past that. I shouldn't focus too far past that. That I need to just work through those feelings, and I've also learned that 9 can sometimes be just as dangerous as a 2 or a 3, because it's about finding a balance and finding that center, because I've learned that I don't have to be sad all the time, but I also shouldn't be happy all the time either. That can be just as dangerous. And so as long as, like I say in the lyric, tomorrow is my goal and destination, all of it, none of the rest of it really matters. I just have to focus on the here and now. Living in the moment, but not in like the cliche way that you see on like a travel commercial.
Right.
Just like truly only focusing on what is happening right now and how I'm feeling right now.
And that's something that in the bio, it emphasizes that's something that the band is committed to doing.
Yeah.
And there's this focus on resilience and perseverance.
Yeah, when I first got out of treatment, I didn't have a whole lot of friends left. I didn't have a whole lot of respect in the community that I was previously in. And so I had one friend that was willing to really spend time with me, our guitar player. He very shortly entered recovery after I got out as well. And so we decided to start a band, and just him
And it's
I.
Eric.
Eric Mitchell.
Eric Mitchell. Yeah.
Playing music together, we brought in more people. And for that first couple of years, it was actually, I was not allowing, I asked them to not imbibe, no alcohol, no anything, while we're playing, while we're practicing. I can be a little bit more loose on that, but with me being in recovery, Eric being in recovery, a couple other members, either whether it's for spiritual reasons or for health reasons, they don't imbibe. A couple do. One, person is a normal person about it, and that's totally fine now. But for the most part, we all support the idea of recovery. A lot of us have lost a lot. When you're in recovery, you're encouraged to make friends in recovery as well. And unfortunately, with the state of addiction and the state of fentanyl and heroin and methamphetamines, there's a lot of a loss associated. Like it's almost like you're like choosing to get on that ship. Like, you're like, I have to go on this journey, and I know that it's going to not be a fun ride. It's not going to be great. It might not end well. But I can't really focus on the outcome personally.
Yeah, you're choosing to be present with that, with full awareness of what that means.
Grief has been so weird, especially after some time. Even the most recent person I lost in my life, it hit me. I just like numb to it for a while. It takes certain triggers, but I've learned to accept that. I just need to let it happen. I need to let it come in waves, and that it's going to be different every single time it happens. I hope it doesn't ever happen again, but it probably will. And just kind of just be nice to myself, be kind to myself, be easy on myself, let myself experience whatever feelings come when they come, and sometimes they don't. It's weird to say, but sometimes they don't.
And we find ourselves again focusing on being present with the darkness, and again the primary focus, but your primary focus before, on the manic state and reflecting on depression. What did the two of you think about this, about your re-emergence organically of that focus and in relation to songwriting? in relation to both of your songwriting?
If I'll start, I'm going to admit that I have yet to be able to write the songs I want to write about that, about the loss, or about my past life, or about, I think the closest thing I've ever written is in 9 to 5, or
Yeah.
5 to 9
Mm-hmm.
now, where I say, I don't think she's ever going to forgive me. That's probably the only reference to the past I have in any of my songs. I've been unable to let myself write about it. I think that there's a block there, a wall that I'm working through with my therapist to try to access those things. I think it's a new level of grief I haven't even touched yet. And so
Well,
scared to get on the ship.
you do more than dip your toe in with that lyric that you highlighted, that recurring lyric in the song.
I'll update that she did. She did not forgiving me. But yeah, so I haven't been able to write about it yet, and I'm going to eventually. But even just talking about it, I feel choked up and a little bit nervous and scared of it.
Yeah. When did you write 5 to 9?
While I was at Cedar Ridge, which is the reference to this place smells like feet and jasmine. It smelled awful in there, but they kept putting these jasmine air things around it.
That's the opening lyric.
Gross, yeah. I don't know what your thoughts are.
I tend to experience I experience depression very slowly, and then process it very quickly. And that's that cycle. And in the processing phase is when I make most of my music. Because it's a manic, like, creative spurt. Like the October EP I made in a single night, where I went to a show and came home and was just buzzed. Buzzed off of, just having like a manic episode. And I just threw a bunch of instruments into a pile and spent the entire night just working on this this record. But that's how, my bandmates are so annoyed because I will text them at 4 a.m. and be like, hey, I'm working on bird harnesses, or like some crazy thing, because like I get in that manic creative state and I'm just hyper focused on just creating things and thinking about like processing my emotions and things, and all of a sudden have like 10 new songs, and my bandmates are like, oh great, like and now we gotta learn all these new songs. And like,
It was shortly after the release of Feathered Bird thing, wasn't it? That suddenly there's this new batch of songs.
Yeah, and Feathered Bird thing happened. I wrote Feathered Bird thing in a day as well. I wrote and recorded it in a day, and then I went back and spent 2 weeks re-recording most of it. But there was another one that just came out of me processing extremely quickly, and just having to get it on like having to get something out so that I can put a bow on this thing. And I don't know. I think I think it's maybe a very strange way to process emotions. I don't know that that's normal, but that's my process.
It works for you.
Yeah.
Who cares about what's normal?
Sure.
It is, and it works for you. I like how Everyone Dies Part 1 takes the kind of conclusion in Decompose, we all get old, we all die, and slows down, and rather than just kind of repeating that conclusion, this device of the moment where I incorrectly think that I'm about to die, just being with that character who's incorrectly concluding that, it is such an interesting way of moving away from the abstract, impersonal idea, well, yes, we all die, to allowing something new to emerge there. So could you just expand just a little bit more? on how these two new songs, one of which has part 1 in the title, are the beginning of something new. Is there a part 2? Are there other songs?
There's a part 2 and a part 3. We're currently working on a full-length record. Oh, I'm sorry.
Is this ship in its present kind of pirate form as presented in these two songs a consistent feature throughout the new batch of songs?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the new record is called Chomp. We've been working on it for a very long time. It's 15 songs, and it's, I don't know when it's going to be done. It's a lot of work, but the general flow of that record is it starts very standard verse chorus things. Me just talking about my emotions in a pretty straightforward way. You hit like 4 or 5 songs deep, and I start breaking the song structures. I start ending songs too early, or like doing things that are extremely self-referential, bringing back pieces of old songs and repurposing them in new songs, having songs that are like way too short, things like that. And so what I'm trying to do is simulate, like, because I essentially had a nervous breakdown last year, and I'm trying to simulate that of like things are normal and now they're starting to break down. And by the end of the record, I'm just imagining myself on this ship as it's sinking. And so the Into the Sea EP is like, I think of it as the like the 0 issue of like a comic book. Like it's like introducing the concept in kind of like a separate piece. And so that comes back in the full record where that character does experience the sinking of the ship and is the only survivor, and it's like floating out in the water and things like that. And it gets really weird towards the end with there's a song where the character's playing poker with like a demon that's cheating, and like it gets really abstract towards the end.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm trying to do with it, is like creating the theme and Into the Sea of like, oh, here's this ship voyage, and then as you get into the Chomp record, it's like, oh wait, that ship is like part of this like psychotic break of the character existing in 2 parallel universes and trying to navigate both of them at the same time, and just everything's breaking down. And that's represented in the song structure. It's represented in the lyrics. It's represented in just the way that we've pieced all of those songs together.
And paradoxically, that is communicated, which is very interesting. I like that we have the red herring of the sea monster. It seems like the character's going to die, and they don't. And it turns out that they don't even die in the sinking ship.
Right.
Although the ship is fated to
sink. Everyone else, like, it's canon. Everybody else on the ship does die, except for the protagonist. When we perform that live, though, we do add an extra verse from Everyone Dies Part 2, which is just a repeated everyone dies, oh, everyone dies, and I get so sad because everyone dies. And so when we perform that live, we'll repeat that like over and over and over at the end of the song.
It's so interesting that, so we have everyone, and then we have the isolated figure, the I get so sad. And this character is not excluded from the truth that everyone dies, but strangely they are temporarily excluded from it.
Yeah.
To then have their emotions about that. That's such an interesting feature of it.
I'm really excited for that record to come out. I don't know when it will be out, but it's going to be a good one. I'm really proud of it so far.
Yeah, exciting. Well, when it does come out, let's meet again and really immerse ourselves in the record and everything. But in the meantime, let's immerse ourselves in the Haunted Forest, which is on the immediate horizon next Thursday.
Yes.
So we'll these ghosts will be there.
We've got 8 of those. I'm building harnesses for them so they can hang from the ceiling, and I'm also building like ghostly like skirts for them, so they look a little more ghostly than the like mushroom version that you're seeing here.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch of ivy that we're hanging from the ceiling as well. We've got some fake trees. We've got a fog machine, so we're gonna create a nice little mist on the ground.
Wow.
Do you want to talk about the tarot reader?
Yeah, the flyer that we created, you can find online, has tarot cards, like these cards on it, and that kind of spurred the idea. And I have a few friends who practice, so I reached out to one of them instantly. I knew she'd be a good fit, and she agreed to. We met at Cafetto, and she gave me a tarot reading. Took about 15 minutes, so we're gonna have a tarot reader. She's gonna be up and kind of behind the stage. There'll be 3, like kind of behind a curtain too. She'll be dressed as a priestess, and then we'll have a raffle. So anyone who buys a ticket can, I'm gonna post this online. They can reach out to me with their receipt and email address, and then we're gonna draw a few days before the show. 5 people. There'll be 3 readings before the show and 1 in between each show, so you can kind of walk through like the fog and the haunted forest up to the stage and be guided to her tent to give you a legitimate, it's like I'm trying to avoid the gimmick of the tarot reader with the golden or the orb or whatever, and get a genuine tarot reading for about 15 minutes.
Wow. And so as an audience member, you, person watching this who decides to come to the show, might find yourself entering the haunted forest.
Yeah.
And having a real experience with, so the themes in the songs, the idea of the ship being fated, destined to sink. Like, one can have an encounter with one's destiny authentically in the form of this tarot reading.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a very nice feature.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be very it's gonna be very interactive.
Yeah, immersive, interactive.
Immersive, that's a
Yeah.
better word.
And there's one other live act, is that correct?
With Liam Moore,
Yeah.
a friend of ours. He'll be opening the set for us that night.
Mm-hmm.
All of this seems like it's obviously a lot of work, but it also feels like it's meant to be. Like the work is there, but it also feels like it's coming together so well. And we just happened to be writing a song. It was actually written with a previous band, and we're just finishing it in this band called I Am Not Your Ghost. And it's just kind of like this idea of ending a relationship or a friendship, and that person kind of still wanting to reach out to you and still kind of like keeping you, or even me personally keeping that person in my mind and my thoughts too much, and like in my space, in my mental space and physical space, and just kind of saying to that person, like, I'm not your ghost, like, you're just gonna have to let me go. Like, I'm not the one blowing out your candles and blowing the curtains. I'm not banging on your door or on your wall. Just like, let me go. So that was kind of perfect. We're going to be debuting that song.
Yeah, the song is saying "Let Me Go," and the occasion is letting the song come to be. That's a nice sweet spot. You said that it's a lot of work, but at the same time, it feels like certain things are meant to be, and that's I like that sweet spot where one has the sense that, okay, this is when this thing comes into being, and it's because of the commitment to co-creativity and collaboration. Okay, now's the time for this to come out, and it's work, and one has to commit to it intentionally and work through the creative process to let it be. But there's an invitation, there's a sense of being invited. Okay, now's the time, and if I do show up and remain committed, then this thing will come to be. So people can come and experience this special Haunted Forest event. They can get tickets through the Bright Night Bull website.
Yeah, that'd be the best place to go.
And we're going to give this a try for the first time on the Back to the City. QR code is materializing, if this works, above my hand just here. So I'm going to hold it here for just a moment so that you can use your phone to get the QR code. And if that works, then perhaps you're buying a ticket right now. Let's hope it did.
You definitely want to get tickets early because it's a small space and there's a lot of interest already in what we're doing, and as word spreads, it's only growing, and there's, I think, more interest than there are seats. So definitely get a ticket.
We should highlight that the two of us are in a band as well.
Yeah,
Briefly.
we can talk about it. We can
Acknowledge that.
shamelessly promote that for a second. An REM cover band.
Well, why not?
I don't know if we've settled on the name. I think we're going with Rapid Eye Movement.
I think
right?
so. You
Yeah.
know, that's what it says on the box.
Yeah. I'm excited.
So, yeah,
about
and I'm
that.
really enjoying that. We've got a new drummer, Brian Herb.
I know.
It's quite
Okay,
exciting to be in a
he's
band with him.
So great.
Yep.
So keep
And-
an eye out for that.
And Andrew from Artificial Flowers, of
Yeah.
course, and our dear friend Tara, whose idea it was to have such a band.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Mhm.
I've never really dove into REM before this, so it's been fun, like, exploring, like, how much greater that band is than I even originally believed.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. To be continued with that one.
Yeah.
Let's something that I'm interested in about the show is Twin Cities Mutual Aid. What is Twin Cities Mutual Aid, and what does it have to do with the show?
So a couple of friends of mine, you know, it's kind of funny because I think they reached out to members of your band, but I've been friends with Sarah and Peaches who started it. They are they're Twin Cities Trans Mutual Aid. They're trying to bring help to those in need, trans people in need who are struggling to pay their bills or had some life event come up that they need assistance with, so that they're trying to provide support for a community that doesn't often get a whole lot of support. And the best part about it is it was kind of an idea one day and mentioned online, and then she said it just blew up instantly, because so obviously, very obviously, there's a need in the community, and they're helping to fill that need, and they couldn't even keep up with orders and requests right away, and they're expanding, they're adding more people, and it's such a positive change. And so we'll have a merch table at the show for them to set out their patches and their information and where you can get help or where you can offer help and donations and stuff like that. So definitely go on. I think Instagram is probably their biggest promoter right now. Tweet TC Trans Mutual Aid is what it's called, and check out what they're doing. It's very exciting for them and very intense for them as well. But it's just, they're both such wonderful people, and they're doing such wonderful things. Sarah is actually one of the reasons I got sober. She was one of the biggest influences that pushed me towards recovery and supported me afterwards. So they're just genuinely down to earth, good people that want to help people. So definitely check them out and come
They
to the
will be-
show and check out their merch booth.
They'll be present at the show, providing more information about the work that they do.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
great.
they'll post on Instagram requests from people that need aid. So you can see them post on stories about Venmos and Cash Apps that you can send money to help somebody get a little bit closer to their rent or paying a bill that came up.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Excellent. And so those are friends of yours who also then reached out to Josh, if I'm understanding correctly.
I don't know if it was Josh, but yeah.
It was, yeah, they reached out to me on
wow, sorry.
Instagram, but you know, as a cis male in a band with two trans women, those, you know, helping out the transgender community is very important to us, and it's, you know, like, ask us to be a part of something like that, and we're 100% on board. So it was a very fortuitous combination, I guess.
Let's give shout-outs to the other members of each of the bands to close, because although you are the primary songwriters in each case, like, I've witnessed both bands, and it's they are like full cohesive bands, aren't they? So let's close by giving shout-outs to the other members of the band and encouraging people to come and witness the bands, the full bands at next Thursday's show.
Morgan McCandless is our synth player. She also plays in a project called La Luna. She's an incredible vocalist. I bought a synth and basically was like, hey, you gotta learn this. And she just took to it like, it's incredible the stuff she can do on the synth, as that not even being her primary instrument. And then I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this, but we probably have the best bassist in the Twin Cities. It's Michelle Kildagger, who also plays in the project Kiri Nova. And she is phenomenal. And I'm always blown away that she's agreed to be in this band, because the level of talent that she has is unrivaled. Like, she's incredible. Yeah. And so I'm fortunate to be in a band with such incredibly talented people.
I was fortunate to be on a house show Badger's Den built with the solo project, and I concur about the very adept bass playing.
In Artificial Flowers, we have Andrew Lentz. He's played with me in Me Me Me. He's plays in A Common Practice. He's got his solo stuff, Splash, and he's in our REM cover band. And he has his A Floating Perspective is his main project. I'm sure he's in 5 others that I don't know about.
Yeah, Floating Perspective have a very exciting release on the Not Too Distant Horizon.
I know.
Too.
So does A Common Practice, I think, and so does Splash. And so, like, man, that guy. And I'm very grateful that he still gives me so much time, because me and him, and then I'll mention before this next part, I mentioned Haley, Haley Coop. She joined the band. She's the most recent member, and she's the member that has finally made the band feel like it's complete. It's been through a lot of changes over the last 5 years, but now it feels full. She sings and plays synth. Andrew plays keyboard and ukulele and sings. And the 3 of us together, the harmonies are gorgeous.
Absolutely.
I just feel so grateful for them. It's like I've always considered Andrew Lentz a vocal soulmate, and then we added a 3rd one. Like, what are the chances of finding a 3rd soulmate or a 2nd soulmate, in my life? But truly, we can just...
An abundance of soulmates.
Yeah, we can just sit down and sing harmonies and spend 5 minutes working through them, and they're just complex and beautiful. And me and Andrew, we could be in the same studio in different rooms. We can't see each other, but we'll start and stop our singing at the same time. I've noticed even in this recording we have online, we did a song by Lamelda at the Green Room, a live recording at Green Room. I screwed up words. Like, if I didn't add an S at the end of the word, they didn't either. They just, like, if I said the word wrong, they seemed to say the word wrong too. It's like, it's the weirdest experience. But then we have Eric Mitchell on guitar, as I mentioned. He's also in recovery.
The other original member.
The other original member. He was actually started off on bass. Luckily, we got him back. He played in a project called Jelly Project a while ago. One of the best guitar players I know. On drums, we have Ryan Moore, who has been in most of my bands since 2005, 2006. We went to college together. I keep trying other drummers. And I always end up going back to Ryan. Like, we tried 3 or 4 other drummers with Artificial Flowers. They were all decent, but there's just something about him. And then he's got his soulmate, I'm just going to say that, I don't know if that's how they feel, but Chris Porto on bass, who I'll say, I might get in trouble for saying this too, but he's the 2nd best bass player.
You're not going to get in trouble with Josh. You're on the same page as Josh.
I know a lot of bassists.
But they just have this connection. They're just so incredibly tight together, and I'm grateful to have every single one of them in my project. And a lot of the songs are very much old songs or unfinished songs, all being completed, like just tying up loose ends from my past before we move on to other things. But yeah, that's the members.
Most likely with the addition of the Ghost song.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Well, come and encounter that in person. Remember, you have the opportunity to come up on the stage if you contact Cassidy with proof of having purchased a ticket if you'd like to receive a real tarot reading and enter the Haunted Forest yourself, then you can.
You can go to See Artificial Flowers or the event on Facebook or Instagram for information about reaching out to me.
Yep, one final time, here's the QR code. Hoping that works. Thank you very much for going on this journey with us, viewers. Thank you very much for being with us here today and leading us on this journey. And we will reconvene in the Haunted Forest that overcomes the Bryan Lake Bowl a week on Thursday. Come and join us there. This has been Back to the City. I'm Simon Calder. We will be back next Thursday.